That's a great question.
Wow.
Which begs the question.
Right? I haven't got there yet.
When you're directing, would you say that the safety of the cast is the least consequential thing?
That's
That's a great question, person who I can't see. I'll explain this to you. It's very simple. As a member of the production crew, as somebody who is very close to the production for years, obviously, the people in LA, they value Misha Collins tremendously as an actor. They have for years. He's a wonderful character. They enjoyed working with him as But what we also realized in prepping the episode is, shit, Misha Collins lookalikes are a dime a dozen. I mean, all you need is conviction to prove positive.
Yeah.
Go to a costume
Somebody
competition.
turn off his microphone, please.
I mean, a brunette kid in a trench coat, boom, you got Misha Collins.
Yeah.
And how hard is it to be monotone?
I see like 15 of them right
You know?
now.
It's like, can you talk like this? Can you wear this jacket? Great, you're Misha Collins. You know what I mean? Like, it's real simple. So, in that regard, we felt like I would never, ever put Jared or Jensen or Mark Shepard in harm's way. So help me God. But Misha, we had about 4 extras in the truck. We were ready to throw them in. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Let's address this room. Let's discuss the elephant in the room.
Oh, there she is.
Sergey, would you take the stage? So this is for those of you who don't know, it's always fun to have production crew, and sometimes we get actors at these conventions. Well, Misha sometimes appears on the show in the role of Castiel, and we're excited to see how that pans out for him. So the question you were asking in backstage was based on maybe a true event, and maybe I feel like we can therapeutically deal with this. So, without
Okay, yeah, let's get this out of our system. Literally. So, first of all, just to set the stage, miserable night. I mean, rain, mud, cold, late, and I don't want to spoil the whole episode.
Don't spoil the episode.
But there will be a time in the episode, and cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, where the actor playing Castiel is forced to crawl through freezing cold mud. And there's a dirt road that I'm crawling across, and there's a sequence in which a truck is going to come racing down that road, and just to assuage any of my concerns, Richard says, just so you know, there is not, and I would listen to me carefully, Misha, there is not a universe in which you are on the ground and that pickup truck is driving down this road at the same time. We're doing green screen. Those two things are not going to be happening at the same time. Do not worry. Cut to, Misha, I'm going to need you here. The pickup truck is going to come racing down the road. I mean, you really sold me a bill of goods.
I did, and everything.
What was it that happened?
By the way, just so you know, that's 100% accurate. There's nothing he said. I was ready to jump in and go, yeah, no, that happened. And he looked at me, he's like, oh, what happened? I will never be in the road with the truck. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Visual effects says it's fine. And he's like, visual effects can CGI fresh leg on me if I get hurt. Like, what do they care? They have no horse in this race. I said, TikTok, get them, lose my day. Let's do this. And we did it. It was one take. It wasn't too bad. And now we have this great friend moment that we can share on stage.
What did you tell him? Yeah, you had to cut that scene. I actually didn't make the final.
That's just classic Benedict. Taking our near-death experience,
Making it about you.
making it all about you, dashing the hopes of this young actor who wants to stay on the show.
By the way, I'm selling the cut scene on DVD. You can find it in the nursery. $50 or whatever you can do. Thank you.
Yes, that happened.
So, well, that's exciting. It's a good, great story.
Yeah.
Good story that you get.
I think it made us closer.
Well, it made me closer to the pickup truck.
It sure did. Damn right it did. Well, I'm going to take this subtle hint as somebody backstage telling us that I think our panel was something that's weird. So, boys, are you ready to play us off? Are you ready?
Are we going to play Misha's song?
No, we're going to play us off. Then we'll play Misha on.
Okay, should I leave?
No, just hang here. It's cool. You're a good one, right? All right. Take it, boys.
He's Richard. I'm Rob. This is Matt. Thank you so much.
Without further ado, let's bring out the guy you've been waiting for. I know you're on pins and needles. He's my Man, if you train professionally, then you hear that kind of adoration from you people. All right, Las Vegas, enjoy yourself. Rob, get away from his crotch. Away from his crotch, Rob. Rob, away from his crotch.
Well, I think we started that off on the right foot. The last episode, Richard, that you directed was the Imaginary Friends episode, right? Have you already left?
Yes.
Is that right? You know better than him anyway. My daughter has some imaginary friends, one of whom's name is Bobby. Bobby is a girl, and she said to me, I've told this story before, so plug your ears if you've already heard it. Dad, yeah, makes sense. Bobby said a bad word. Oh, really? What did she say? Bobby said stuff. So I choked her and I killed her. And as a parent, those moments make you feel proud because you know you're doing something right. You're teaching her to swear, and you're teaching her to hurt people to get what you want. How is everyone? I'm a tiny bit under the weather, so if I'm a little bit slower and less interesting, even less interesting than usual, you'll have to forgive me. Yeah. See? Oh, that's all I needed, was a little sympathy. Thank you. How many of you guys are here for the first time? Wow. This has got to be the highest concentration of virgins in Vegas ever. That's amazing. And how many of you live like close by, like in Vegas or Vegas? So how many don't? There's a lot. So people are coming here as a destination event. You're coming here to do the convention and then make money at the tables as well, right? That's awesome. What?
Not successfully.
No? That's very unusual. What happened? I did some gambling last night. I played a little bit of blackjack. Thank you. I made $5. I'm pretty sure it was a high roller table. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, $5. So, thank you. Do you guys have any questions? There's some people standing in a queue on either side. Do you guys have questions or comments or criticisms?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Well, okay, if I'm being honest.
It's actually hard to hear you from up here.
It's hard to hear?
It's echoing.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay. Oh, there's kind of reverb.
What?
I like that. Very rock and roll.
I was just going to tell you how much I enjoyed the poetry you've been posting on Snapchat.
Nobody can say I don't know how to use Snapchat.
It's kind of the highlight of my day when I get off work, and I was just curious how you're picking what you read and
How I'm picking?
how are you picking the poems?
Well, it's a very sophisticated process of trying to find anything that can be squeezed into 10 seconds. There's not that many poems that are that short, as it turns out. I guess I'm going for things that have some sort of resonant relevance in some way, in my mind. Are you a poet? A reader of poetry?
A reader of poetry.
A reader of things? Somebody who's literate?
I like to read when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
2 little kids, you know how it is.
I do, yeah. Reading with children is, actually I'm finding that reading with my kids is actually getting me to read more, because we go through some longer form books. And you can actually plow through a book, even reading them aloud to 4 and 6-year-olds. You can read books that are kind of interesting. We're reading a lot of astronomy books. My 4-year-old hates the astronomy stuff, but I do it anyway because it makes her fall asleep almost immediately. And my 6-year-old loves it. And we also are reading the Wonder. Have you? Yeah. There's like there's a trilogy of Wonder books that we're going through now for the 2nd time because my son just loves those books so much, which is very sweet. And those are kind of sophisticated. Like that's a book that older people might read.
We're actually reading that one right now.
It's pretty great. I recommend it. If you have any kind of sense of humanity in you, you might like the book Wonder, which is part of the trilogy. Yeah, I like, and also it's good practice just reading aloud because you can work on your accents. And I have this weird relationship with my kids and reading books at night, which is that they want me to do accents, but they really don't want me to do certain accents. And so it's almost like flipping through the dial on the FM radio, where they're like, no, Dad, don't do it with that accent. No, don't do it with that accent. Yeah, we like that weird Indian Russian accent that you do. Do that one. So that's fun for me as well. But you didn't ask about that. I told you anyway. So. I guess that second half of my answer was just a freebie.
Well, for what it's worth, I'll only do accents with my kids and not in front of them.
You do accents with your kids?
Only with them.
You only do accents with your children?
Yeah, because I can't.
What about with us? Would you do one with us?
No,
Yes?
they're 3 and 6. I'm not embarrassed in front of them. These people, no way.
Come on, let's hear your India-Russia accent.
My accents usually happen on accident.
Accidental accents? I think we might be speaking at cross purposes here. You're talking about accidents, and I'm talking about accents. All right, you're off the hook.
Thank you.
Hey, if you were given the opportunity to revive any angel on Supernatural, who would it be and why?
Well, not Gabriel, because the actor who portrayed him tried to get me killed. Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, Balthazar. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that was it. Thank you, we've had enough.
Hi. What is your all-time favorite song to dance to? Not sing, but like dance. Oops.
Wow. That's a great question. Probably like some Bruno Mars song or, right? Uptown Funk. How about that? I like funk because I feel like there's something about funk that gives you license to be ridiculous. And I show you. Thank you very much. What's your favorite song to dance to? Do you have one?
Get Low by Lil Jon.
And do you actually get low when you, yeah, that sounds fun. Like limbo or squatting? What do you do? Like,
Something like that.
hi.
So I'm kind of new to Gishwas, and I was kind of curious what your most memorable entry has been.
You're new, have you done it before, or you're planning to do it, or?
I did it last summer for the first time.
How was it for you?
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I got to see a lot of...
That's a great word, because it's something that people can say about something that they hated.
It was a lot of fun.
It was interesting.
It was a good experience.
Are you going to do it again? Yeah, I thought so. What was your most memorable item? By which I mean least favorite.
I know there was one that I wanted to do, but I couldn't because I had to travel for it, it was one of the ones that was in San Francisco, I believe in Golden Gate Park. But I'm too far north of there, so.
I guess, I think that for me there's a bunch of different categories of things that I have loved in Gishwas. I like the items that are kind of epic. I really loved, we had a fully decorated, it was I think maybe the first year, fully decorated Christmas tree floating in the air, and with helium balloons. And I liked that item because regional airports were closed because of Christmas trees in the airspace. And any time that the works get gummed up like that, I feel a certain satisfaction. I liked it when NASA named a mountain on Mars Gishwas for an item in the hunt. Pretty awesome when you see NASA tweeting like, "This is Mount Gishwas on Mars." We're discussing with them. They might be helping us launch something from space. So those are really cool. This last year there was an item which might be my all-time favorite, which was kind of spontaneous. We were into the hunt, as you may recall, and we decided, you know what? Let's try to just change somebody's life for the better with this scavenger hunt. And we really didn't, like the hunt had already started and we still didn't know what we were going to do, but Philip, who helps run Gishwas with me, knew a photographer who is this amazing photographer who travels around the world and goes to like refugee camps and war-torn areas and takes photos, and he actually lost 3 limbs to an improvised explosive device, and still is traveling the world doing this work. He's just an incredible guy named Giles. And so Philip knew him, and he had been in a Syrian refugee camp in Lebanon. and knew of, he had written some stories that had been published in Western newspapers about some of these families, and we said, do you know of any families who really need help? And he said, yes, there's this one family that has a really particularly heart-wrenching story. The mother was hit by a sniper when she was tending to a small plot of vegetables to feed her family while in Syria, paralyzing her from the neck down. She has been in this refugee tent in Lebanon for 2 years, not receiving medical attention, hasn't left the tent in 2 years, and her family is, you know, they can't send the kids to school, they barely have enough food, really dire circumstances. So we put up, in Gishwas, we made an item to get other people to raise money, so it wasn't like we were extorting participants to put money in, but we had the item be get other people to donate money to this. And we set that up, it was like a Wednesday, I think, and the next morning woke up to twice what we needed to help that family for the next 3 years. So we got on the phone. We got on the phone with Giles and we were like, is there another family we can help? And he said, yes, as a matter of fact, there is. And so over the course of the next couple of days, we realized we were raising enough for not one, but 2, then 3, then 4 families. And we're going to be able to support them for the next 4 or 5 years, including medical care, getting him, and just a couple days ago, we got emails of like the house. One of the second family that we helped has this incredibly heart-wrenching story where the girl, 12-year-old girl who was one of the older siblings in this family, tried to kill herself twice, so that there would be one less mouth to feed in the family. And it's just heartbreaking. She's now in school, they now have a house, and it's all because of Gishwas, so I love that. And by the way, it's been a total nightmare for Random Acts, who has been facilitating all of this, because you can't send money to Lebanon without the US government thinking you're funding a terrorist organization, which we learned the hard way. So we're like, oh, it's great, we'll just send the money. Turns out it's really, really challenging. So thanks to Random Acts for like putting in incredibly long hours dealing with banks and stuff, trying to make this happen. But yeah, that's an item I love. There's another item that always sticks with me, which was the very first year, cover yourself in cotton candy, except for your face, which you cover in lipstick. It's basically like tarred and feathered. Like it's the worst possible thing that you can make another person do. And for some reason, when I saw those first images coming in, I was just filled with an overwhelming joy. Like, I just laughed and laughed and laughed. These miserable people covered in half-melted cotton candy and lipstick. So there's a kind of range of different items that appeal to me personally for some reason. Yeah, thanks for asking. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right. How are you?
It's getting better.
Good.
Yeah.
I am just blown away by all that is Random Acts. And I was wondering, was there a specific event that led to its creation, or was it an amalgamation of life events, and is it all you hoped it would be?
Thank you, that's a very sweet sentiment, and the answer is kind of all of the above. Amalgamation, by the way, great word.
I am literate.
Okay, now you're just showing off. So there was an earthquake in Haiti, and I had just recently gotten on the show and kind of hastily put up a UNICEF page right after the earthquake and tweeted to fans to like, donate to this page to, provide relief to Haiti. And there was just an outpouring of support right away, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. There's really something here. Like, people are galvanizing around, not a bad word, right? galvanizing around the idea of doing something positive in this community. So, so that kind of planted a seed that there was some potential. And then a bunch of other factors came together, amalgamated, if you will, to make actually starting a nonprofit viable. Not bad, right? And so it was sort of a collaboration between me and some fans, and we got our nonprofit up and running. And I guess the idea behind it might have come from personal life experience a little bit for me. I had had a few experiences in my childhood. Like we didn't have much money when I was a kid. We were actually just talking about this in the meet and greet, but there was, times when my family was living in a tent, and, virtually homeless, and no money at all. At one point, the mother of a kid in my first grade class gave my mother $100 to buy me and my brother Christmas presents, and we just wouldn't have had any money for Christmas presents. Not that you can't have Christmas without Christmas presents, but it was a really lovely gesture, and one that, even though it happened when I was 6 years old, I'm still talking about it now. I still remember that event and that act of kindness that this woman that we didn't really know that well did for us. And I really think that kind of, so now I'm talking about it, and that sort of helped compel me to start Random Acts. And I think that kind of ripple effect happens all the time. Like if people are kind or generous to one another, that causes, there's an amplification to that happens, and it causes more people to behave that way. So that is, I think, at its core, what was behind starting it. And no, of course it's not all it could be. It could be much, much, much bigger and better, but it's great where it is right now, and it's growing in the right direction. There's always more work that can be done, but the staff of Random Acts works incredibly hard for nothing. So I'm really grateful to them for everything that they do.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. What's new?
I'm here. That's new.
Have you done this before?
I've asked a few of the actors a few questions, but I haven't asked you one yet.
Okay.
This is new too.
Okay, so this is pretty special.
Yes.
Who did you ask questions of already? Yeah, they're hard to remember, I know. Yeah, no, I get that with them a lot. It probably, what's his name? Did you do that? And what's his face?
Let's see, I asked...
The little one? Oh, yes! And did they give you a good answer?
Yeah, fairly good.
Yeah.
I asked Julian too.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, well, there's some competition in the room, it sounds like. Would you like to ask me a question?
I would.
Okay, let's do that then.
So I role-play characters on Facebook, and my main character is Hale from season 9. And so my question is, if she were to come back,
Yep.
would Cass be able to forgive her, and what would he say?
Let me think about that for a second.
Is he asking who's Hale?
Yeah.
He built the Grand Canyon.
So what were we talking about? So what about Hale? I love Hale.
You do? She tried to kidnap you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't like her. So yeah, Hale's the character of Hale, right?
Yes.
Not the actor?
Not the actor.
The character of Hale and Castiel have a very long and storied Bad history, where because of the past events and all that, things didn't go well, and therefore, when she left me in the grass, yes, he could. Thank you. I always wonder why nobody asked that question. So thank you. Hi.
Hi. Most people run and hide from the paparazzi, but in your photos, you smile and wave. Do they get you on a good day?
So here's the deal with paparazzi. Like when you're coming out of when you're landing at Vancouver Airport or something like that, there's always paparazzi there, and it's always, and if you're paparazzi, I apologize for saying this, it's always totally annoying. And so there's like a little side back entrance or exit that you can go through, like sort of sneak around, which I always try to do, and I always like put my head down and I walk through like this, and then they catch me anyway, and then once they catch you, you're like, all right, game on, and then you pretend that you're happy to see them. So that's my cycle, my emotional cycle that I go through with the paparazzi. But yeah, no, I'm skulking around, trying not to be seen, and then, but the other thing about it is it also serves this interesting dual function of making you feel important, which is kind of great. You know, there's people like, you know, you kind of look around at the airport and like, fellow passengers are like, oh, this guy is like, they're asking for his autograph and taking a picture. I should have tried to talk to him. And I'm like, yeah, you should have tried to talk to him. Suck it.
Hello.
I need to work on impulse control.
Say it ain't so.
Hi.
Hi. I'm from Vancouver.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Where I hear it's still got snow, so I'm so glad to be here in the desert, you know,
Yeah.
where it's raining.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there was anything in particular that you enjoy about filming in the greater Vancouver area, as opposed to other locations in which you worked.
Well, Vancouver is, I mean, it's great. There are certain things that are lovely about Vancouver. The scenery, the people,
Thank you.
the poutine. And then there's certain things that really blow, like in the summer sometimes we'll be shooting like in July maybe, and the writers will write a scene that's like night exterior. But in order for you to shoot a scene that's night exterior in early July in Vancouver, you have to stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning because you know, the sun doesn't even, you know, it doesn't get dark really until like 10. So that can be challenging, and you know, and likewise in the winter, the days are very short. So there's like this weird sort of cycle of the seasons that you have to work with at such northern climes. But it's great. But it's nuts right now in Vancouver because there's so many different productions that are shooting up there. Like every TV show ever made is now even getting remade in Vancouver. Like there are, I think there's like 45 shows shooting in Vancouver, and it was just, I want to say 5 years ago, we had 3 shows shooting in Vancouver. So there's been this explosion, and they're desperately trying to keep up with demand, but you can't get film crews anymore in Vancouver because everybody who has ever set foot on a set is employed as a department head now. Like they are completely run out of people. There was a point when we had somebody on working as the on-set, because our regular on-set carpenter was out. I think I don't know if he was on vacation or what, or sick or something, but somebody had to fill in for him. And we had a guy who had never been on a set before, working as the on-set carpenter, and I started talking to him and discovered he was also not a carpenter. I mean, it's really kind of incredible. So if you're looking for employment opportunities,
Duly noted. Thank you.
And there are studios that are being used now in Vancouver. So studio space is also completely scarce. So they are like using old decommissioned peanut factories as film studios and stuff like that.
Well, they call it Hollywood North for a reason.
That's true. It's because it's north of Hollywood.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, so you are very passionate about your work, your art, your causes, the world. So what do you do to take care of yourself so that you can continue to give so much of yourself to others?
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't feel like I give a disproportionate amount of myself to others. I am trying to do a little bit less. I think I got a little bit overworked recently, but I'm trying to spend more time with my kids, and that's good. I like that. We have fun. We make messes. I try to meditate. I'm also trying to sleep more. These are my very cutting edge experimental techniques. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, being the quote-unquote supreme overlord, we appreciate you using your powers for good. Is there anything that you wish you could do that you aren't currently doing?
This just causes me to reflect a little bit. Like, the things that you offhandedly say on Twitter can have real, lasting implications. It's something that I think I certainly have learned valuable lessons about. I hope that our leaders also learn something about that. I remember I was just getting on Twitter, and Twitter was new, and I was definitely not hip to social media, but having some fun, and I was tweeting. I remember I was up in Washington State. I think we were at like a friend's wedding in this rundown old B&B that barely had wireless connection. I was managing to tweet late at night, and I said something like, "Oh, I don't like this term followers, like you're my followers. I'll call you something more fitting, like minions." And it fucking stuck. And then somebody said something, "Oh, what should we call you?" And I said something to the effect of, "You can call me, you know, the babysitter or supreme overlord." You know, these kind of creepy things and slightly megalomaniacal things. And unfortunately, that stuck as well. So it's a cautionary tale more than anything. But you had a question, which I didn't address, and now I've completely forgotten.
It's okay. I asked, you're currently...
You forgot it as well. Okay, well that makes me feel better. Did you actually forget? Yeah, me too.
What do you wish that you could be doing that you aren't currently doing, aside from like obvious sleeping and etc.?
Well, I don't know if I can talk about. I don't know if I can talk about that in front of all these people.
Most of us are above 18.
And this just turns into me standing up here telling a fictional erotic story. And ticket sales for next year's convention spike. And Adam and Gary are like, "Could you do more of that porn stuff?" It's not I'm not really going to do that. I
don't know. That's I guess more. I would like to do. I'm finding that I spend a lot of time on email, so I would like to be doing less email and more interesting, creative stuff, and maybe more like messing around. I was just yesterday. For some reason, it came up. Somebody brought up like charlatan or something like that, which I sort of fancy myself. And do you guys know what a snake oil salesman is? Yes. A lot of people don't know what a snake oil salesman is, I've found out. But I made a couple of years ago a video that was me selling, it was like an infomercial selling snake oil. And I want to do more stuff like that. Like that was, to me, pure joy. So I'd like to do a little bit more of that kind of stuff. I'd also like to do more like disruptive, or not necessarily disruptive, but productive political work, like that actually gets people mobilized and doing good things and actually bridging. I really don't like the current state of discourse in our country. I don't like that people are sort of picking sides and finding themselves on one team or another. And I think that there's so many unifying themes that we can all agree on, that we should be focusing on those things and setting aside the stuff that divides us. So I would like to be doing more of that kind of stuff. Yeah, right. Yeah. That doesn't sound like fun. Yeah. My campaign would be immediately derailed by witness Exhibit A. Look at this. Look at these horrific photos. Look at this poor young man covered head to toe in cotton candy. What kind of a sick motherfucker would do that to someone? Campaign over. Hi.
Hello, Misha. So, over the years, you've been known to sport some interesting outfits. And so my question for you...
Also, campaign over.
So my question for you is, who are you wearing right now, and where do you get your clothing from?
Oh, who am I wearing? I thought you were referring to me like wearing a bridal gown. You were, right? Who am I wearing? It's a creepy question. I do not make my clothing from human skin, and I resent the implication. But if you must ask, it's Aunt Myrtle. She passed away of natural causes. We have a ritual in my family where we tan the hides of our deceased. And then make them into blazers. Campaign over. I don't know. I'm wearing orange underwear. I always wear orange underwear. Thank you for your insightful question. If you must really know, it's all Ivanka Trump's stuff, which you should go out and buy right now. Hi.
Hi. I'm a first-year directing student, and I was wondering, as an actor and a director, what can a director ask you to do or do to get your respect?
Well, one thing that's helpful, if a director, if a new director comes on set, and because there's always this moment where you're sort of establishing the dynamic, and I think it's good for a director to come on and sort of take control and say something like, lick my shoe. Because, you immediately establish that you're in a dominant position. I hope that's helpful. Yeah.
I like the idea, like, you get your first break, and you're on a professional set. You just go in and you're like, guys, lick my shoe. That probably wouldn't work as well as you think. Pie, you might get a pie to the face, yeah. There are things you can ask. I like the notion of like, what can you ask an actor to do? It conjures up all kinds of weird casting couch. I think that there's an interesting, in television it's different from theater. So in theater, there's this very protracted rehearsal period where you work on the material in great detail with the actors. And that is true also of bigger budget films and some other instances. But in television, it has to move so quickly that we don't have the luxury of a lot of back and forth. We also don't have the luxury of a lot of extra takes even. We have to kind of get it pretty quickly. So for directors, the most important thing in television is getting the casting right, getting people who can play the roles well, and letting them kind of do their job well. So more seasoned directors tend to kind of trust their actors and don't try to tinker with them too much. On Supernatural, that's our experience. However, good directors also know when to push back when something isn't quite working. And then there's directors who will at times try to run you over. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a range there of kind of how much you can ask actors to do. At a certain point, also you have to be really careful with actors because if you give them too much direction, we freak out. We start to get really self-conscious and start screwing up. So
it's like with kids, kind of.
Yeah, it's like with kids or any human. So you have to be very delicate in your direction and give. And here's another thing that people screw up: they will give too many pieces. Like in the beginning of that scene, try to be more forceful with that first line, and then in the middle, what would be great is if you turned away on that line about the doorknob, and then at the very end, I want you to just try it with a smile and a cackle. And if you give like 3 different directions to an actor for one scene, they won't remember them, and they'll start short-circuiting. Because you have to remember, actors are some of the least intelligent people in the world. So you have to spoon-feed them a little bit of direction at a time, and you have to calibrate it carefully to make sure that they can process it and speak in simple terms.
You have to find that sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. I hope this has been as helpful for you as it was for me.
It is, thank you.
Okay, good. Hi.
Hi, Misha.
How are you?
I have a question for you. I was wondering.
Oh, well, this is a perfect venue for this.
Obviously. I was wondering what band or musician, dead or alive, you would want to perform with.
I think the band. I don't know if you know the band, but they played with Dylan. And were kind of amazing. The Wait, there's some great songs. Actually, I think these guys do some of their songs from time to time. Yeah. Okay, it's a short answer, but truthful for a change. Hi.
I was wondering if there were a movie made based on your life, who would you choose from the cast of Supernatural to portray you?
Probably Ruth.
Thank you.
Aren't you glad you waited in line?
question, obviously. So I thought you did a really fantastic job in the episode, not this last one, but the one before.
Not so good in the last one, but yeah.
In the scene where you're talking to the boys and you say them and you do that big emotional dialogue, I just wonder how it was like doing such an emotional scene for you with those guys.
It's tricky. You mean pretending that I like them? It really stretches you as an actor to do something like that. That was an interesting, very interesting scene actually to do, because I actually worked on that a little bit and felt like there was some real emotional resonance to it. But then that night just dragged. It was like a cold, wet night. We were out of time. We had no time, so we were just flying through like one take on each setup, and we were coming up against, the sun was about to rise, so we just had no time. And I was so tired that what you're seeing on my face in that scene is just, I want to go home. Which I think came across, and it worked in that scene. So, yeah, that was one of those, like, there's every year there's a few nights that stand out in your head like, God, that was awful. And that was one of them. Yeah.
Well, I thought you did
Thanks for bringing up that memory.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, hello. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Love you.
My status hasn't changed that much since the last few people that I... How are you?
I'm doing a little better now. I'm a supernatural baby, so if my facts are a little off, I'm sorry. And
Wait,
I apologize.
you're the biggest baby I've ever seen.
I'm gonna start watching out till like a year and a half ago.
How are you all the way through?
Yes.
Really? How long did it take you to binge watch?
My husband and I, before you guys, we let ourselves up in a hotel room for 72 hours and binge watched 5 seasons. We didn't even get out of bed. All we did was go to room service, and it was our anniversary weekend. You have my daughter to thank for introducing me to you. And I'm a con virgin.
Wow. So did you go like right directly from the hotel room to like a psychologist's office? I mean, that sounds like a form of torture, what you just described. 72 hours straight? 5 seasons?
Yes.
That's 100 hours of television. That actually rewires the circuitry in your brain and turns you into a sociopath. You know that, right?
I learned from you. That's not my question.
Hard truths.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear it from someone, other than my coworkers, for sure.
My question is,
How do you get Supernatural out of your head after watching it for 72 hours straight? Okay.
I love all the work.
What was your sleep cycle in that phase? Like, would you doze off and then wake up again?
No, I don't think we actually slept till we returned home. I can't remember even getting an hour of sleep.
Okay, this is not a healthy thing that you're describing.
And we weren't doing anything except watching Supernatural. And we were a married couple.
Okay, that's starting to sound like a very, very harmful drug.
It's very addictive.
I think that we might be doing something bad here, guys.
I don't know, dude. I don't know how hyper-violent, Satan-centric show would be doing anything bad.
Okay, good point. Yeah. What's your question?
I love all the work that you've done with Gish Wish and Random Acts. And when, because we're starting the show and everything, y'all started Always Keep Fighting. Was there one of the main motivations that y'all started to do the help sources for people that have mental health illnesses and disorders? And are y'all going to expand that to help families that are in the military, especially Gold Star families like me and soldiers that have PTSD?
That's an awesome question.
So let me just make sure I understand. So you're asking like the crisis support hotline that we're doing? Is that what you're talking about?
Say that one more time.
The crisis support hotline that we're doing? Are you talking about, are we expanding services there to include PTSD? Or are you talking about just...
Were you doing it before, and are you going to expand out?
I think the answer to that is yes, we are trying to do so. So right now, the mental health stuff that we're doing is essentially it's in beta, so we're expanding slowly so that we can have enough capacity. We have to train people. We had like 11,000 people apply to help on the crisis support hotline, and those people all need to be vetted. Only a fraction of them will make it through that vetting process, and then those people have to be trained, and supervisors have to be trained. It's kind of like a big operation. So we're trying to expand into anti-bullying, and we can talk. We're talking to Chase Masterson and her organization. It's something that I didn't have a lot of experience with. Like online bullying didn't exist when I was a kid because online didn't exist. But there was, there was obviously bullying. But I think it was a little bit harder to do because you had to get out of your house and go, to the schoolyard and bully somebody in person. But now it's super easy. You can just, conveniently log on and be a jerk. So it's actually a much bigger problem than people like me who aren't really dialed into what's going on in the social media universe understand. It's actually a really big deal. Like kids in school are being kind of tortured online, and it's a big deal. So we're trying to incorporate some of that, and I will talk to Random Acts about veterans and PTSD stuff and get a better answer for you because I don't know where we are with that at the moment.
Yeah, was Jared your motivation, or were you doing something for it?
Jared, I think Jared tapped into something that was there, and there was a big outpouring of support for those campaigns that he was doing. So I think that his initiating that opened, I think, our eyes to how much need there was. And he collaborated with us in setting that thing up in the first place. And it feels weird, a little bit weird to like say something positive about Jared, but there's always going to be those fluke things.
Thank you so much.
Well done, sir. You did great work. If only you could bring that great work to the screen. I'm kidding, you're fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, I almost